festival of the country, Deepawali, the festival of lights, has kicked off from yesterday and is being celebrated with much fanfare despite the pandemic. The country, meanwhile, is in a crucial phase in its fight against COVID-19 as it faces the challenge of bringing the virus under control, which might surge again as people try to resume their regular activities during and after the festivities. Good morning, I'm Sarah Chitrakar and these are the top stories of the hour. NCP Executive Chairman Dahal expresses dissatisfaction in writing to Secretariat Committee meeting. Next meeting scheduled to discuss the bone of contention. Contractors exhibit reluctance in carrying out development projects despite a suitable construction environment. Government officials lobby to extend the project deadline. US President-elect Joe Biden becomes the first Democrat to win the state of Georgia in 28 years. China breaks a frosty period of silence by congratulating Biden. And Bangladesh register a clinical 2-0 victory over Nepal in the first international friendly played in Dhaka's Bangabandhu Stadium. Coronavirus continues its surge in the country as 2,111 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed yesterday, taking the total case tally to 206,353. Meanwhile, the death tally has climbed to 1,202 with 13 more individuals succumbing to the virus yesterday. According to the Health Ministry, a total of 9,533 swab samples were tested yesterday, taking the test tally to over 1.59 million. The PCR test responded with 1,207 positive cases in the federal capital as Kathmandu district confirmed 919 cases, while Lalitpur reported 180 and Bhaktapur registered 108 cases. Likewise, 3,537 individuals registered full recovery yesterday, taking the national recovery tally to 168,129, while the recovery rate stands at 81.5%. According to the Health Ministry, there are over 37,000 active cases in the country with 7,973 corona patients in isolation centers, 29,049 in home isolation and 986 in various quarantine facilities. The ministry informed that 87 patients are receiving treatment with ventilator support while 387 are in intensive cares across different hospitals of the country. Executive Chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, Pushpakamal Dahal, who has been holding a series of meetings against Prime Minister and Chairman KP Sharma Oli, has expressed dissatisfaction in writing to the Secretariat Committee on behalf of a dissident faction. The meeting, meanwhile, has decided to list out the points of contention and grievances mentioned in the memorandum to discuss them in the next meeting. The Secretariat meeting held at the Prime Minister's official residence in Kathmandu yesterday afternoon decided to carry out detailed study regarding the decision taken by the Standing Committee in September and letters exchanged by both the chairmen during the period and discuss in the next meeting. Both the chairmen have corresponded accusing each other of not cooperating with the government and the party. The next meeting is scheduled for 18th of November. Executive Chairman Dahal has been blaming Premier Oli for overlooking party's committee meeting, restructuring the cabinet and appointing ambassadors without consultation in the party. Executive Chairman Dahal submitted the letter in the meeting after Prime Minister Oli dismissed the allegation. Premier Oli, meanwhile, said that the decision was taken on consensus and instead accused Executive Chairman Dahal of shying away from the responsibility of party integration and a general convention preparation, while saying that he was ready to correct any shortcomings on his behalf. Prime Minister Oli also accused the 4 other Secretariat members of the disgruntled faction of conspiring against the government. The Dahal-led faction had submitted a memorandum to Premier Oli last week demanding the Secretariat meeting at the earliest. The cost of construction materials has dropped as the number of private housing projects has gone down amid the coronavirus pandemic. Businesses have been complaining about decrease in sale while the government is shying away from its responsibility, citing lack of construction materials. The government officials at the same time are reluctant to work as per the deadline and are more interested in extending the term of projects. There was an agreement to complete the capital's Gaushala Chabail Road section before the rainy season. However, it is not sure when the project would be completed, as the contractor has left the project unattended due to lack of workers and problems in transporting construction materials amid the coronavirus pandemic, as this is just a representative case. The road department has not been able to get the contractor to carry out projects, while officials at the department themselves have been arguing in favor of non-performing contractors. Even as the pandemic has forced the businesses to slash the price of construction materials due to the drop in demand, there is no shortage of workers. Due to lack of employment, workers are looking for jobs even at low wages. The scenario is most suitable to carry out development projects due to lower prices of construction materials, availability of workforces and less congestion of roads. However, several development projects have been stranded due to non-performing contractors. The government development budget has not been spent over the period of time due to delay in completing a project, citing various excuses which has prevented the economy from bouncing back. Only 8% of the development budget has been spent since the beginning of the current fiscal year. Almost 2,000 projects worth 125 billion rupees are stranded at the contractor make a hefty amount of money after clinching the deal, but leaves the project unattended then after. However, the authorities have neither been able to make contractors to complete the project nor take stern action against them for not completing projects in time. With the country's economy yet to return to normalcy due to the pandemic, the scenario is having a negative on banks. The investable amount that has been accumulated in the banks as the banks could not be extended as compared to the deposit collection. Even as the government has raised 57 billion rupees in internal debt for liquidity management, banks still have 178 billion rupees of additional liquidity. In normal circumstances, the investable amount in banks would start declining from the second week of October. As the loan demand used to be higher than deposit collection, banks had to face a challenge in managing the situation. This time around, the situation is different as the banks are under pressure due to lack of credit expansion. The deposits increased by 23 billion rupees until last week, while credit demand could not expand beyond 8 billion rupees. The investable funds in banks have been accumulated as the credit expansion has been showered slower than deposits. Even as Nepal Rashtra Bank has raised 57 billion rupees in internal debt and used reverse repo and other alternatives, it has not produced a desired result in liquidity management. The country's economy came to a standstill from 3rd week of March until 3rd week of July due to the lockdown imposed in a bid to control the coronavirus spread. However, the economy has not returned to normalcy even after resumption of businesses. Banks have added 449 billion rupees in deposits since 3rd week of March, while merely 186 billion rupees has been extended in credit. During this period, not only the businesses of private sectors have slowed down, but the government has not been able to accelerate the development work. Demand for loans to import goods from abroad increases with heightened development activities. Economists opine that if banks could shift their investment in small businesses, the problem of excess liquidity could be reduced to some extent. The government, meanwhile, aims to raise 225 billion rupees in internal debt this fiscal year. High liquidity in banks is also an opportunity to raise internal loan. However, the government has lagged behind to speed up development work by raising internal debt. In our Public Voice segment, we have asked the local residents in Udaipur district how have they been adopting preventive measures while celebrating the festivals amid the pandemic. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
यसपालि त हामी घरमै मनाउने भएको छौं। हामी अलि टाढा माइती हुँदा पनि हामी नजाने भएको छौं।
घरभित्रै बसेर आफ्नै पारिवारिक हिसाबमा मात्रै मनाउँदा बेस होला कि
घरैमा अब राम्रो तरिकाले बस्ने खाने त्यही हो। देउसी भैलो नहिन्ने
घरभित्रै बसेर घरमै रमाउने परिवारभित्रै त्यहाँदेखि अब बाहिरी चाहिँ नगरौँ।
दाजुभाइलाई यसो मुख हेर्ने मात्रै हो, अर्थ खास केही हुँदैन हाम्रो।
दूरी काम गरेर र त्यसरी चाहिँ त्यो मनाउनु पर्ने भएको छ।
हामी व्रत बस्छौँ हैन,
खोलामा मनाउन दिनु तर त्यही दूरी काम गरेर हैन या त त्यो प्रोग्राम नगर्नु बरु त्यो दोकानहरू नलाउन दिनु बेलुका चाहिँ नबस्न पनि बनाइदिँदा हुन्छ
सरकारको नियम त मान्नै पर्यो कानुन त मान्नै पर्यो तर हामीले चाहिँ खोलामा एक घर बराबर 2 जना 3 एउटा व्रत लिने मान्छे अनि 2 जनाको लागि एक्स्ट्रा भए चाहिँ हुन्थ्यो
टोल विकासमा मिटिङ बसेर र हाम्रो बाहिरको गाउँको मान्छे पनि आउन नदिने देउसी भैलो खेल्न र हाम्रो पनि बाहिर जान नदिने र गाउँकै पनि नखेल्ने भनेर चाहिँ हामीले बन्द गरेका छौँ
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. What's your take on attempts to increase the construction deadline, citing lack of building materials? Your options are A, result of pandemic, B, just an excuse, and C, nexus between officials and contractors. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And time now for sports update. Bangladesh registered a clinical 2-0 win over Nepal in a friendly international played yesterday in Dhaka's Bangabandhu Stadium. Nepal began the match on a positive fashion but conceded an early goal as Nabib Nawaz put Bangladesh ahead in 9th minute. Nepal accumulated pressure on Bangladeshi defence in search of a goal, but the equalizers eluded them. Bangladesh doubled the lead in the 80th minute to clinch the match 2-0 as the second goal for the home team was scored by Mahbub Rahman. The last time Nepal had conceded a defeat to Bangladesh was in 2015 in Dhaka. There were 3 debutants for Nepal in today's match as Bikash Khawas, Bikram Lama and Darshan Gurung played their first match for Nepal. The second friendly between Nepal and Bangladesh is slated for Tuesday. And before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. NCP Executive Chairman Dahal expresses dissatisfaction in writing to Secretariat Committee meeting. Next meeting scheduled to discuss the bone of contention. Contractors exhibit reluctance in carrying out development projects despite suitable construction environment. Government officials lobby to extend the project deadline. US President-elect Joe Biden becomes the first Democrat to win the state of Georgia in 28 years. China breaks a frosty period of silence by congratulating Biden. And Bangladesh register a clinical 2-0 victory over Nepal in the first international friendly played in Dhaka's Bangabandhu Stadium. And those were our latest headlines. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.